Okay, so now we've built the perfect recommender here for the donorschoose.org data to encourage people to make additional donations by recommending projects or proposals for schools that people are most likely to be interested in. Let's break this into the 5 different types of Matchbox recommender scores, or scoring prediction kind is the term they use here, that are possible here with Azure ML Studio. So let's begin. I'm just going to use this one right here. I'm going to assume that we've already evaluated everything and determined that we have the perfect feature set. So first thing I'm going to do is get rid of the evaluate recommender entirely. No longer useful. So next, let's change from rating prediction here. Let's pick one. I'm going to go just in the order they're listed here. So let's begin with an item recommendation from all items here. So as a reminder, let me show you the details for this scoring from the Microsoft documentation. In fact, I'm just going to search here Azure ML Studio score Matchbox recommender. That's going to bring up the documentation for me here. And let's recommend items to a given user. That's our item recommendation here. So this is where we recommend items for users. You provide a list of users and items as input. So that means that for the item recommender, you need both to know both who the user is and a particular item they're looking at. So okay, that makes sense. That's going to be usually the most accurate version, and we're going to do it from all items right here. So that tells me what I need as inputs. Great. All right, let's go back now to here and run our recommender. How many do we want to do? Should we do 5? How about 3? We'll just make it simple here. So let's return 3. Also, I know before we had number of traits a little bit down to 2, and that was the most accurate. It's easiest to predict. However, I think I want to up traits back to something like 10. Even though it's going to be less accurate, it's going to give a wider range of possible projects that people may want to donate to. And I think it's a little bit more common. So we've got to run down here to the bottom. And I'll pause while that finishes. Okay, that's all done. Let's take a quick look here at what we're getting. All right, so here's our user, and here's item 1, 2, and 3. Now, one thing that I've come to learn here as I've played around with this is, although it looks as though the only input here is the user and it's returning 3 items, the item recommender does actually need both a user ID and some item ID that they're currently looking at to recommend items for. So the item recommender is not just for displaying what to display on the home page or something like on Amazon when a known user is viewing the home page. This is for when they've actually clicked on an item as well, and they also know the web page can also tell who the user is. So keeping that in mind, we're going to have to use both user ID and some item ID as an input. So great, let's set up the web service, predictive web service here. All right. There we go. So the input here goes to the join data, output down here. Let's see if there's anything else we want to adjust. So if I put it here, it's going to require all of the information in the donations table, which is not what we want. What we want, and all this applies, SQL transformation, math operation applies to the amount of money that they're donating. So for a recommender, though, that's irrelevant. All we want is to pull this straight down here and say just require a user ID and an item ID. So we can bypass all of this, and the SQL transformation pill is going to weed out everything from the donations table that we don't need and make it so that only donor ID and project ID are required for web service input. For the output, let's see what is coming out of the score here. I think we're going to want to we want to tell it to not give us back the user ID and the original item ID. But let's just take a look and run this and see what it's getting here exactly. Close that out. All right, that's done. Let's take a look here. Okay, so it's going to return the recommended items and the user ID. I don't think we need the user, so let's just go ahead and get rid of that one. Let's grab a select columns, kind of like we did before when we had to get rid of the inputs that were being returned along with the output. And let's tell it that we only want items 1, 2, 3, and that's it. All right, run that once more. Okay, let's take a look here. That looks right. The output from here is going to be just 3 recommended items, and we're going to turn those IDs into names here in just a bit. All right, cool. Let's test this thing out now. Let's deploy the web. Oh, actually, you know what? I want to do one more thing. I don't know why it calls this input 1. I just want to call it input, and the output I'm going to call it output. Let me run that one more time. And it just means a minor tweak to the web service call. It's really not that big a deal. I could have left it, but obsessive compulsivity. Okay, cool. Let's deploy this thing. All right, there we go. Okay, cool. All right, let's test this out. Oh, it shouldn't be asking for all 3 of those. Let's take a look and see what I did wrong here. All right, back here on the predictive experiment, let's go take a look. The input's right here. This data set to score, that's right. Oh, right here in my apply SQL transformation, it only needs, at this point, it only needs the donor ID and project ID. We no longer need some amount. So I'm actually going to change this, since we no longer need that. No need to group by donor ID and project ID anymore either. And no need to apply all these math operations, just the join data. And so really, this apply SQL, if I wanted to simplify it, I could just change this to a select columns. This is essentially doing the exact same thing now as a select columns, but since I already have it built, I'll leave it just like that. So let me go ahead and, here's what I've learned. I think sometimes when I make changes to the original, well, no, I'm making it to the predictive experiment. Sometimes when I make it to the training experiment, those changes don't carry through properly to the predictive experiment, and so I have to delete the web service and the predictive experiment and do it again. But since I'm working directly here on this one, I think we're going to be just fine. Let me run it once more and then redeploy over the top, and then I think we should be good. Okay, deploy now. Yes, override it. The only thing I'm thinking is maybe I should rename this in a way that we know that it is what type of prediction it's for. So here, okay, cool. It just asks for donor ID and project ID. Let's see. I can grab some. Maybe I should have done that to test it. And actually, we better start using some better names for these things. So let's do that. Here on training experiment, let's call this donorschoose.org, and we're going to call this item recommender, all items. I'm just going to save that. It's already run. No, save, finish saving, thank you. I'll copy that, go to the predictive experiment. Leave that part that says predictive experiment. Save. And let's see if I can update the web service name. If I can, will let me rename it? No. Is it worth it? Yeah, okay, let's do it just to be safe. Redeploy. Oh, all right, gotta run it one more time. Sorry about this delay. Okay, deploy. Yep, override it. Okay, here we go. Got our info. What I want to do next, let's go ahead and pull up Postman now and test this thing out, make sure it's all working. So open it, let's create a new request. Let's see, I'm going to put this in class stuff. Let's call it donors choose item recommender all items. Let's see if it'll let me use that. Saved it in class stuff. All right, perfect. We're going to do a post. Let's grab our API key. We're going to need that in just a moment here. This is going to be, well, hold on. Let's go back here and let's open up our details. And first, let's put in our URI right here. Okay, let's take a look down here at our code samples. Here's the input. Awesome. Here's the output. We'll go ahead and copy this. We're going to need that in a little bit. Let's take a look at our call. So we know we're going to need let's see, authorization, bearer. Great. All right, let's go back here and not authorization. We want this as parameters. Actually, we don't need those. Well, okay, fine. They're already up there. Headers, actually, that's where we want to put this stuff. Authorization, great. Value is bearer space. Oh, no, that's not what I meant to do. Bearer space, well, all right, I'm going to need that. I'll put it in my body here in just a moment. Okay, perfect. But back here in my headers, I need my API key right there. Perfect. Bearer space API key, and I always forget. I need one other thing. Let's take a look here. Content type. There we go. Application JSON. That's what I need. Content type. Application JSON. There it is. Okay, in the body, let's put some actual values here. Oh, that's my response. I don't need that. All right, I'm trying to go too fast here. What I need is the sample request, not the sample response. But I don't need that global parameters. All right, we'll get rid of that in just a minute. All right, copy. Can I expand this a bit? There we go. Well, that was fine. Global parameters, I'm going to get rid of that right there to that comma. Donor ID and project ID. I'm only going to send one setup at a time, so I'm going to delete the second one. Let's find an example donor ID and project ID that's going to be in our actual project. So let's go back here to the original data set and let's grab one from this list right here. Okay, here's a donor. Copy that. Let's put it right here. Donor goes first. And project. Okay, so when looking at that project, here's the concept. When this user or this donor is logged into the website and the website knows who that is and they're looking currently at this project, what we want is to recommend 3 other projects below that they might also be interested in donating to. That's the purpose here of an item recommender, and why we need both inputs is because we know not only who the donor is, but they're currently looking at a specific project that we want to recommend other similar projects for. So let's see if I've done everything right here. Let's send that and see what we get back. First thing I notice is this is taking way too long. I'm wondering if we need to turn down the total number of possible projects or speed up our workspace. I think we can upgrade our account so that this goes a lot faster. But let me cancel this while I'm waiting. Okay, so I'm getting a request timeout, and this is just a limitation of the type of free student account that I'm using for this demo. So here's how we're going to fix this. Rather than, if I just turn down the partition and sample here to something really low, I've tried a bunch of these. At one point we were 12. That's not going to do it because it still is going to go and look back at our original massive data sets to check things against, and still going to rerun the partition and sample, which is just making it take way too long. So in reality, what I would do is I'd have if this was a real project, I would use my import data pill, and I would select something like top whatever. Well, a couple things. If I was donors choose, I would probably just pay for a paid account, which would handle this just fine. But, assuming I'm using a student account and I can't afford that, I would only use like the top 200 projects or something like that have recently been started. And I would write that right here in the SQL. But these CSVs, I'm not writing SQL from. So here's what I'm going to do. And this is a technique that'll be useful to you as you're experimenting. I want to save new data sets of the smaller portions of data. So I want to turn this down. I think 0.005 is too little. Let me see how much that gives us. 209 rows? No. Let's do something like 1. Okay. Oh, I've got mine locked up. Let me save as here. This is all items reduced. That'll work. All right, so what I'm going to do now is change this to 0.01. I think that's good. And then I'm going to run down to this join data right here, because this will take my project data, teacher, and school data, join them all together, making sure that these are only projects that have corresponding donations over here. That's what actually, no, never mind. That's not what that's doing. But when this finishes here, we're going to use a cool feature called Save Dataset As. As soon as that finishes. All right, right-click, Results Dataset, Save As Dataset. And we're going to call this D Projects Reduced. Yep, perfect. And then I'm going to do the same thing with this one right here coming off of Donors. Results Dataset. Oh, I got to run it first. Run selected. Okay, let's take a look at that first, make sure it's what we want. Yep, just donor ID and donors teacher, perfect. Let's save that one. We're going to call this D donors reduced. I think I've already got one of those in there. I just barely tried this before I started the recording again. Here it is, donors reduced. Yep, save that one. Okay, then let's do the same thing right here, but instead of, I'm going to come all the way down here to this join data, because this is only going to give me the donations then that have corresponding records in the donor list and the project list based on these two join datas. So I'll let that run here. Those are all finished. All right, pause it. Okay, that looks good. Let's see what this gives us real quick. 411. All right, that's not a bad number. Let's save that one as a data set now too. Donations reduced, perfect. Okay, so next, now that we have these fancy new data sets, let's get rid of some things we don't need here. So, this is a predictive experiment, but without a training one. So, I think what we want to do now, let's run this whole thing. Yeah. Then I want to create a predictive experiment out of this one, even though I know it started out as a predictive experiment. I'm going to change that. And then I'm going to get rid of everything we don't need for the predictive part. Let's see here. Actually, you know what? It might be simpler to do this. Let's go back to, now that I've created those, I don't want this one anymore. I'm going to delete that one. And I'm going to take the original training experiment that we started with. Yeah, and let's make another version of this, all items, and I'll say this is the reduced version. And then here I'm going to say, all right, let's see, donations, don't need to join again, don't need that. Instead I'm going to use donations reduced, pull down to there, donors reduced, there we go. Import data, don't need that one anymore, although, yeah, projects reduced right here, don't need that, or this one, or that one. See how nicely that simplifies things? So now this isn't, the downside of this is now I've lost my ability to automate and update this live from the server, but I've got to keep my examples here simple. What I would do is, what I'm accomplishing here is reducing the size of my data set so that I can work in my student account and it won't take so long to get my prediction back. So in real life, I would just pay for a more, slightly more expensive version of Azure ML Studio, and that would solve the problem, so I didn't have to do all this. This is all just a workaround now so that I can not have to wait forever for a prediction to come back. Anyway, so we got our SQL transformation. That all looks good. Split. Yes, that looks good. I think we might be all right unless I've got repeats in either these donors or projects. That could give us a problem, but let's find out. Let's hit run and see what we get here. Okay, looks like that's going to work out nicely. So let's go ahead and update predictive experiment. Yeah. Oh, shoot, I meant to save this as a different one. Oh, well, that's fine. All right, I think we're going to actually need to totally delete that web service and the predictive experiment rather than try and update it. I don't think that's going to work because I've changed it so much. So I'm going to delete that predictive experiment. Yes. Okay, let's go ahead and, there we go, make that. We're going to have to redo a couple of things though now. So here in this predictive experiment, we want the web service to pull directly down here. Let's move that over there. Technically, since we're not requiring them to give a rating for or a price that they would donate, we don't actually need to do any math operations. This is going to come down here. Actually, yeah, do I need to? Yeah, okay, right there. Also, so that means we don't need our donation amount. Let's take that off. Don't need a group by. We just need a donor for an item recommendation. We just need a donor ID and a project ID. Perfect. Let's see. I think these are all good. What has it done over here? Let's take a look. Let's just kind of reorganize these. So it's turned our LDA into, no, that's not it. Here we go. There, that's better. There we go. So we've still got our pre-processed text. It's turned the LDA into this applied transformation, which basically means it saved the weights that it got previously when it calculated it and the topics that it came up with. So rather than redo the LDA, it's going to use a previously developed topic modeler right here in this applied transformation. I think that might be it. Is there anything I've forgotten? No, I don't think so. Although in the output, I do like to come in here and say, let's get rid of the user ID. Don't need that anymore. In this case, the donor ID. Oh, I gotta run it first. Whoops. I gotta throw something in there for now and just run it to this point. Okay, let's pause that. Okay, now that's run. Let's change this. All I wanted to do here is actually tell it we only want item 1, 2, and 3 back. Check the box. Cool. Run the whole thing once more, but really, whenever you hit run, it's cached those green checked pills. And so give it a second and those all turn green. Yep, like that. And now it'll just run this one. And then we are good to deploy. And let's give this another shot. And hopefully we've tuned down the data enough that it won't time out. All right, let's test this thing out. Oh, actually, I need to grab a valid donor and project ID. Let's go back here real quick and copy one. Let's take a look right here what we got. Okay, here's a donor and project. Perfect. Back here to our web service. All right, let's test this out. Donor is the first one. Let's cut that. Delete the space, paste it down there, project. Let's see if this is any faster. Oh, it's not looking good. Look at that. Still going. Let's try it over here in Postman. Oh no, look, hey, it's back. Okay, much better. So here's our 3 returned product IDs. We can work with that speed. It was a little slow, but that's doable. All right, so here's what we need to do now. Let's, first of all, let me walk you through how to actually use a recommender in Excel, because just like we did before when we first learned how to do this with a prediction calculator, we can do the same thing here in Excel. However, keep in mind, I made this to use product IDs and donor IDs, or project and donor IDs, and it's only going to return those ugly IDs. So I haven't set it up yet to really show me product names. So if I was going to use this in Excel, I would switch from using IDs to using probably project titles and donor names or something like that. But let me just show you at least that it works here. Pull in the sample data. Let's select all. Come over here. Yep, there's our range. That's the right one. Has headers. Output is going to be sheet 1 exclamation point C1. Even though it's going to output 9 cells, no, sorry, 3 by, what is that? 1, 2, 3, 4, 6. It's going to output 18 cells. I only put C1, the beginning of where it should start, and say include headers. So predict. It was a little slow. Oof, this could be too slow. Okay, no, that's not too bad. All right, so here's our 3 most recommended items. All right, we can still use this auto predict feature. Ooh, notice the predictions are the same for all of them. And that's probably because I turned down the data set to make it so small that it was similar for everyone. But I am curious. Let's go back. Let's grab a different set. Here's a donor ID. And here's a product ID. Let's see what that does. All right, it's thinking. Hoping it doesn't give us just the exact same ones again. Although that does happen, it's not that out of the ordinary. Yeah, no, not quite. Same first 2, different third one. Okay, so it is working. It's just slow. All right, that's all right though. We can deal with that. All right, let's move out of Excel and into a web app. So I'm going to start a new one here. I know I did this before. If you have your previous app open, I would say just go and let me close this one. Open that prior one that we made. This is not actually the one that I want. So let's make a new file, new project. I'm going to make a .NET web application. I'm probably going to update this in the future to be a core application. They're fairly similar, but well, conceptually similar. All right, I'm actually going to put this somewhere different where I can not lose it. Okay. I'm going to call this choose recommender. Perfect. Oh, yeesh. Okay, fine. New folder. New folder, donors, choose recommender. All right, select that one. Donors, choose rec. Okay, cool. I could use a newer 4.71. I think I've used that before. All right. Web, C#, yep. Okay, perfect. Go ahead and make that. Let's just make this empty. I'm going to make this very simple here. All right. Perfect. Let's come over here and let's make ourselves or add new item. Web form. All right, I'm calling it default. If you're adding simply, if you opened up your prior experiment, you're just going to add a new one, call it recommender. Just give me some navigation that goes back and forth between the two of them. Okay. So on this page, I'm going to put all 5 of my examples. So normally, do I want to just, I'm not a fan of tables, but it might be the easiest way to do this. Well, let me think. Now, here's how we're going to do this. We're going to make a field set. That's pretty old school. Label. This is going to be item recommender all items. Perfect. Title, give this whatever you want in your name or something. My Matchbox recommender. Checkpoint, if you're doing this for my class, demo, whatever. Donors choose.org. I do want to get rid of my Times New Roman. Style, body, font, family, Arial. Good enough. Okay. What I want now, let's give ourselves a drop-down list. Toolbox, drop-down list right here. DDL, this one's going to be URL donors. And then let's make one more, because for this one we need both donors and items. Now we're going to be making a few of these. Yeah, I'll call them 1 and 1 each. Okay, then let's get ourselves a button. Button, item, recommender, all. All right, that'll do. Recommend is a text. All right, let's split our code here. Oh, we gotta remember how to do some line breaks. And we need a result as well. Or sorry, a label to print our results to dynamically. Whoops. Label result 1. No text. All right, refresh. Oh, that's still awful. But this isn't where the label is going to go. I think when we actually run this, let's see what this looks like here. Thinking. Oh, there we go. Oh, it is. My label didn't work right. Oh, it's called a legend. That's why. Not label. I haven't used this old tag in a long time. There we go. Puts it up there. That's better. So let's make a bunch of these filled sets in different divs. That'll work for each of our 5. Okay. Let's go ahead and click our recommend. Now, when the page loads, let's make ourselves... let's go ahead and fill all of our drop-down lists on page load. So we're going to need the SQL using system.data.SQL client. We're going to SQL connection cn as equals, not as connection. Let's stick our connect string in there, which I need to, where am I going to get that from? Oh, I don't want to show my password everywhere. I think I'm going to, here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to create a add new item. Let's add ourselves a global file. I'm not too good to use a session variable right now to make this quick and easy. So in this global, this is a file that runs when the application starts. I'm going to create an application level variable here. Application, actually 1 second. Let me copy this from another one real quick. All right, so here's what we need. Application level variable. This is something that's usable all throughout the application on every page. I call it connect string. Here's where I paste that connect string that we've made before in other videos. My password goes right here. I'm going to type it in and then cover it back up and then restart the video. Okay, that's done. So if you're in my class, you already know what the password is. You're familiar with it. Otherwise, use your own. So back in here, we're going to say SQL connection is application connect string to refer to that. Oh, maybe it's just parentheses. Nope. All right, what am I missing here? Do I got to cast that thing? Objects. Okay, fine. Convert dot to string. All right, that was a little more complicated than I thought, but that'll work. All right, SQL connection. So what we got to do is pull all available. Yeah, but I want just those that are in my new data set. All available product or donor and project IDs. So what I'm going to have to do, I'm going to have to make new stupid tables to put my smaller set of IDs in. All right, I'm going to do that real quick. And yeah, let me think if there's a better way to do that. All right, this is going to be a little bit of a pain, but normally, if you remember from our previous video, all we did was we came in here and we made a connection to the database. We grabbed the names of the objects we wanted to load into a drop-down list. But since I'm using a smaller set, I don't want to load all several million project IDs and donor IDs because I don't want people to be able to select options that aren't available in my reduced set. So what we're going to do, I'm going to export a list. I'm just going to make a big array that I'll load into the drop-down list instead. So to do that, I'm going to come back here. I'm going to use a convert to CSV pill. I can use this right here along with everything else. I can say run that one, and it's going to give me a list of donor and project IDs. And then I'm going to download that as a CSV and turn that into an array. Eesh, the things we go through here to make these examples work on a turned down account. All right. Download. Perfect. Here's our CSV. Let's open this up. All right. I'm going to get rid of everything I don't need right now. Don't need donation ID. Don't need, in this data set at least, anything else other than donor and project ID. And I want to get them on the same line separated by commas for my, yeah. So what I'm going to do is, oh, what have I got going on down here? Did I miss these? Oh, yeah. How did I do that? Oh, whatever. Delete. Okay. Let's grab all of those. Copy. Paste, transform. Well, do I just stick these in a new table? Gosh, yeah, I think I do. Never mind. I'll put this back into SQL Server and let us use it from there. You know what? I'll keep it running in case you're interested in how this works. You can fast forward if you don't care and you just want to copy what I do later on. So I got a bunch of tables here. We're going to use the import data script, or import data task. Say we're going to pull from a flat file source. The flat file is in my downloads list right here. Change it to CSVs. Here we go. That one. Open. Great. My columns are just project. These two, they only need to be 32 characters long each because I play with data a lot. I know that those IDs are 32 characters long. Preview. Great. Next, we're going to pull this right here into SQL Server. Log in with my username and password. Great. Here we go. Import. Think. This shouldn't take forever. Do I need to pause this? Okay, maybe if I enter the actual password instead of putting my username again. Oh, come on. Okay, let's try that now. There we go. Okay, so edit mappings. This says, here's what they are called in the source. Here's what we're going to put them in the destination. I'm saying create the table. Yep, perfect. Okay, all of that. Wait, what was that saying? Oh, yeah, never mind. Okay, except I don't want to call the table that. I want to call the table something a lot simpler. Let's call it donors choose reduced. That'll be the name of the table we'll pull these from. Perfect. Next, finish. Did I open it or something? What's my message? Processing has started. Oh, yeah, it's process being used by another. Yeah, basically, don't be an idiot. Leave the file open when you're trying to import from it. Okay, thank you. So that means it probably created the table, but wasn't able to import. That's usually what that means. So I give it the instructions to create the table. Here it is, donors choose reduced. I'm giving all these tables the prefix D underscore, so let's keep those consistent. There we go. All right, back here. So edit mappings, create destination. No, we don't need to create it anymore. Donors choose reduced. I just change that to D underscore. So now when I hit edit mappings, it's going to recognize that this table exists over here. And no, sometimes I have to kind of like go back and then forward again. There we go. Now edit mappings, and nope, it's still okay. Fine. Drop and recreate. If I don't do that, it's going to see that the table does exist. Then it's going to give me an error and say we can't put a table there. It already exists with that name. But if I check that, it'll know to go ahead and delete whatever's there and recreate it. Okay, so let's see if I got it right this time. Okay, perfect. 411 rows transferred. We now have a database table to pull this from. So back to here. All right, SQL command now, cmd d. So we're going to use these twice. Let's also make a SQL data reader, dr. Okay, I think we're good there for now. So let's go ahead and let's load each of our, oh, you know what else we're going to need is a list item li. All right. Let's load this thing up here. So SQL command equals new SQL command. We're going to give it some text. Use the cn connection we just created. We're going to say select. Let's start with the donor one. Donor ID from D underscore choose reduced is the name of the table we just made. We also want, though, the actual name of the donor. Do we have name of the donor? I've forgotten. Maybe we don't. What do we have? Donors reduced. Oh, we don't. All we have is, we don't have their name. All we have is their ID because it's anonymized data. All right, no problem. So for this table, at least, we're only going to be, oops, not SQL command, cmd equals new SQL command. So we're not going to be able to use a donor's name. That's fine. So we'll also use donor IDs from that list. That'll do. So now we're going to say dr con.open dr equals cmd.execute reader while dr.read. Oh, need parentheses around that. Looks like we need parentheses right there for that method. All right, while dr.read, we're going to say li equals new list item, and we're going to put into that list item dr donor ID. What have I missed here? Oh, I got to convert it to a string. No problem. Can I do it this way? Implicitly? I can. Hooray. Okay. All right. That's been created. So let's say we're adding this to DDL donors list .items.add li. Okay. So that's going to go through, rotate through our list, add them all to that list. Great. Down here, some at the bottom, let's just remember to say DDL donors.one.data bind. It's an ASP.NET thing you got to do once you've loaded it in to make sure it connects it, I guess. So that reader's done. Let's go ahead and copy this. Now, ideally, I wouldn't put all this in the page load. I would put this in a separate method and then call that method when the page loads, but we're going to be lazy and just demo it this way for now. All right, let's do this now for the project ID. But this one, we can get a project name. Actually, let's see what we've got to work with here back in SQL Server. So for the projects table, What can we show to the user that'd be better than a project ID? We have project title. How long does that get? Oh, that's not too bad. Yeah, let's pull in the project title instead. So we'll join our little table with this massive table here by project ID, and it'll grab the titles for us. Perfect. So here we're going to say select project ID and project title from donors choose reduced donors choose reduced projects where, and we'll just do an inner join here, an implicit inner join where donors choose reduced dot project ID equals d underscore projects dot project ID. So that inner join will only return the 411 project titles that match, and in fact we better be specific here. It's going to say, hey, which one do you want it from? We want it from this table. Well, actually it doesn't matter, because this implicit join right here will make sure that we only get those 411 records back and not all of them. So it doesn't really matter which one we bring this one from. We got to give it some name. Okay, so here we're going to do our list items a bit differently. We're going to say in the first spot, actually I can't remember, let's put a comma right here. So string text first, value second. Okay, so that means the value is what is hidden in the drop-down list, and the text is what they see. So we're going to come up here and put this part first, string dr, whoops, not that one, what am I doing? I want project title, that's right. Project title, and this one's going to be project ID. And we're doing this, while dr, perfect, okay. We don't need to open the connection again. We'll get an error if I have this, so let's get rid of that one. And the other thing I should have done is at the end of this, let's close our data reader right here. Good memory management, close it again down here. And somewhere down here, let's also not forget to close the connection. We don't have to close that one until we're all the way done. Okay, I think we're good. That'll load them. Let's just double check and make sure I've done all that right. Oh, you know what? I forgot to data bind the other one. Stop. Oh, also, I'm not putting it in donors. DDL, come on. DDL items.add. Not donors. So we want to put the donors in that drop-down list, items in this drop-down list. Perfect. I think actually we can just call data bind, and it'll do it for everything. Yeah. Perfect. Let's give that a shot. Okay, looks like I got myself an error. It says system out of range, donor ID. It can't find donor ID. Did I not call it donor ID in that table? Let's take a look. Yeah, it's donor ID right there. What am I missing? Casting it to a string. Exception, user handled, exception settings. All right, let me think. Okay, so I found my problem. It just because I needed those square brackets right here doesn't mean I needed them inside the quotes down here. So I took out those brackets from here, project title, project ID. But I've got a new problem here. Execution timeout. So I'm going to have to do something. My table's just too big to join it and get the project title. So that's a little bit disappointing. Just because my data is so big, this isn't going to work. But on your projects, you're probably not going to be dealing with 2.5 gigabyte file sizes. I don't want to go through and index it right now and make a stored procedure to make this quicker. So all I'm going to do is take the easy way out. And first of all, stop this. And let's just return the project ID and not worry about project title. So I'll take project ID off of there, project title. Let's not worry about our join anymore. All right, that should do it. There we go. All right, our field set, I forgot it. It's the whole width. I can make my div a bit smaller, but anyway. So, I should give this some labels, but let's test our recommender. I haven't even built the recommender yet. Okay, so let's add some labels, and then we'll make it call the recommender here. So we're going to say this is donors, projects. Let's have a similar number of spaces, and VSP, another non-breaking space there. All right, so what we're going to do next, let's grab Postman. Let's test this thing out. Invalid. I updated. I got to update my settings. So here in my, I can't remember if that's the right request response or not. So we're going to come back here to the predictive experiment, or no, sorry, my web services. And we are going to open this one back up. We're going to grab the API key. Headers. Let's update it right here. Okay, let's get our correct URL. And no, wrong one, Postman. There you are. Okay, let's test that out, make sure it works. It was, there we go. Okay, whew, good. All right, so here's our column names back. So let's go ahead and export some C# code, rest sharp. Great. Copy that. Let's head back to Visual Studio. We are going to need to pull in rest sharp. Or no, what was it that I was using? Yeah, rest sharp, that's right. So references, let's manage NuGet packages. All right, not just installed, we want to browse for all of them. Rest sharp, oops, there it is. Is that the right one? Looks like it. Let's give it a shot here. Thank you for telling me that. Okay, pulled it in. Let's go back here. Let's pull add our using statement. Rest sharp, there it is. Perfect. So now down here in our button. So when we click recommend, it takes us right here. Whoops, I didn't mean to do, what did I just do? Oh, right there, okay. Down here, let's paste all this. This is going to call it. We need to give it the proper donor ID and project ID. So we'll do that right here. So donor was first. I'm going to say DDL donors dot selected item. And then right here, DDL items dot selected item. Okay, we're gonna get back our response. Let's go ahead and stick that in our label. Result1 dot text equals response dot content dot to, not lower, to string. Come on. Okay, let's see what that looks like. All right, here we go. Donors, projects, recommend. It is a little slow. I'm going to pull this down so you can see it's thinking. All right, so that looks good. So we need to use our JSON parser again to go into one results output. I can skip type. I can skip columns, result output, values, and then my 3 product IDs. Okay, let's give that a shot. Okay, so I need my my JSON parser. What was that called again? I gotta remember. I'll recognize it when I see it. JSON Newtonsoft, that's the one. 204 million downloads, that's gotta be it. Okay, let's grab that one. Okay, I think we're good there now. So let's add using Newtonsoft. All right, thank you. Down here, JObject, no, Newtonsoft.json. I should have added that in up at the top. Oh, I gotta look it up. Hold on one second. Okay, so I magically remembered. I didn't look it up for sure. We need, whoops, not Newtonsoft. Newtonsoft.json.link. I always forget that part. No, like that. Now we can go directly to variable results equals JObject. There we go. And we're going to, is it parse? No, JObject dot parse. There we go. The response. So that turns our JSON response, response.content. Happy now? Nope. Maybe if I spelled it right, I'd be happy. Response. Okay, there we go. So this is why we use Newtonsoft. It turns that nasty JSON into an array that we can now work with. And we're going to say, so we're going to say string result equals results. Let's work our way in here through this. So I'm going to pull up this to remind us. Results is the first one. Output 1 is the next one. So we say results. Output 1. And remember, this is case sensitive. So back here, it's going to be results, output 1 like that. Then we don't want type. That gives us table. We want value, and then values, and then an extra set of brackets right there. So we want value. Now I can't remember what the capitalization was. Let me go back and check. Values. Values is capitalized, not value. Okay. Right there. Then we have 3 that are going to come back. Well, first of all, we've got to go into the first element of that array. But then we have 3 strings. How should we display these? Let's see here. Let's do this. So we made this string result equals that. No, instead of calling it result, let's call this rec1. And we'll say that's the first item in the array. Dot to string. There we go. Recommendation 2 and 3. 3. Okay. So now let's return nicely. Recommended projects. And then we can put in here plus rec1 plus rec2 plus rec3. Looks good enough. Let's give that a shot. Okay. All right, here's our recommendations from all items. So this is going to give me back 3 projects, including those that I may have already donated to. That's the idea behind the all items. All right, running a little slow. There we go. Oh, you know what? I should at least give it a line break, and then we'll call that good enough. Yeah, all right. So before I print that out, I should really do that back here. There should be a permanent line break after this one. Let's do a couple of them, actually. Okay, then we get our label result. Run it one last time. Let's try something different though this time. Okay. Different donor, different project. So the idea is you're going to make a web app, or somebody will, where they know who's logged in. So there's a donor ID already stored in either the session or the application, or if you're using MVC as a variable, then that person, when they're logged in, will be looking at a certain project on a page. They're considering donating to this oh, I've got some repeats. I should have done select distinct. I didn't even think about that. Oh, of course. Anyway, I'll fix it on the next one. So they're going to be looking at a potential project to donate to, and you're going to be showing the details of that project. And then down below, you're going to have 3 other projects. If you like this project, here's 3 others you may consider donating to. And the idea here is we're just trying to prove or demonstrate how that would be called on a page. So here's the recommended projects. And I could look those projects up in a database call. In fact, I kind of want to see now, even though I know I couldn't load them in here, I bet I can display them right here. In fact, let's do that now. And I think I also want to, yeah, I'm going to make this look nice. Here's what we're going to do. If you get the idea and you want to skip the rest of this video, that's no problem. But what I want to do now that we have these back right here, I want to actually pull up pull them up out of a database. So I'm going to grab my connection reader, all this stuff as an example. Before I display this, somewhere about right here, I'm going to say command equals, and I don't need the list item anymore. I do need my reader. Don't need any of this list item stuff. I'm going to say select project title from D projects, where D project, where project ID equals, we're going to say add P. We're going to use a parameter because we always parameterize our queries, which means we do need up here a SQL parameter. We'll call it P. P equals new SQL parameter, and we're going to give it a value of, let's see here, I want the first one, let's do rec1. Rec1 name, name goes first right here. It's going to be at P, comma, rec1. There we go. And we're going to say samd.parameters.add that parameter. Cool. Open the connection. Let's close it down here before we forget. Nope. All right, and we're only selecting one thing, so we don't need a while. We just need a dr.read. Or no, maybe we'll do an if. If dr.read. Then, oh, I have that 0 in there, stupid. All right. So if we find in the database, then we're going to replace rec1. Well, let's store a few things. What do we want to store and display? How about we give it three boxes? Let's make a, yeah, I got an idea. Let's make a table on the page, and let's store the project. Let's grab a few details. What do we want to get here? What do we have about projects? If there's an image, that always helps too, but I don't think we have anything like that. We're just going to grab, let's get a title. Need state, let's grab a few of these things. It's going to be nice. So let's make a few variables here. String P title, P SA, P cost. That'll be a float. No, we'll do P description. What else looked interesting? Need statement, P needs, grade level, resource, P grade, P resource. All right, that's good. That's enough for now. So what I want to do is say we're actually going to select all, not just the title, where project ID equals that. Let's come back here and say P title then is going to equal string dr project title. Let's copy a few of these down. Let's finish those out. So we got P description, P needs, P grade, P resource. Perfect. Project short description, that's the actual name of it. Whoops. Right there, project short description. This one is P needs statement. What else we got? P needs statement, P grade level category. P resource category. All right. We've got those. We're going to store them in these variables. Let's make it look a bit nicer now. So we're going to say that label one result is going to equal a lot more than just that. Let's I'm going to move this somewhere further down. Label result one dot text equals. Okay, let's just stick a table in here because this is fast. Here's what we're going to do. Inside this table, we want a few things. We're going to say, first of all, no, let's do emphasis, project title, emphasis, and then we're going to add to that P title. What's wrong? Use of unassigned local variable. Oh, it just wants me to. All right, P title. Just in case that doesn't work, is that all it wants? Yeah. Okay, so after that one, let's say result.text plus equals, let's end the previous cell, start a new cell. No, let's not. Let's instead add a couple of line breaks because we're going to do this all within the cell. Project description. And then we're going to have P description. And it's going to have the same thing here. It wants me to go ahead and initialize all these things. That's fine. P needs, P grade, P resource. Okay. Cool. Let's keep going here. We're going to do the project needs right there. P needs. Now let's add grade level. P grade. And then finally project resources requested. a resource. All right, so somewhere down here at the bottom, we're going to need one to close whichever last cell was opened, close that one row, close up the table. All right, let's give this thing a wide berth here. Style for this table is going to equal padding all around. Let's give it 5 pixels. No, not padding. We want margin because I want to make the background color, I don't know, light blue. Do you think it's going to read that? We'll find out. All right. Let's test this first one and see if this is working. Oh, no, stop. I forgot one thing. Down here, I don't want to override it with all this. So, all right, I've got rec 1 pulling in the details of that one, putting it in a little table cell. If that works, we're going to put the other ones right next to it. All right, let's see where this goes. I know this video is getting long. I got to wrap it up here soon. All right, let's recommend. See if I create an error by doing that. Still thinking. Guess I better pause. Okay, unfortunately, my database is just too big. I'm going to have to turn that thing down. So what I did was I went back and made this temporary table that I started with back up here, donors choose reduced. And I went ahead and added all the rest of these cells to it. And I did one more here for p cost equals 0.0. Actually, yeah, I forgot to add this one right here. Float p cost. Okay. Doesn't like that, huh? 0? There we go. All right. So select all from D, donors choose reduced, or project ID equals that. Okay. So I believe I've got all those fields. I need to add now, here's my cost field too. P cost, float, project, cost. Okay, so I want to put, let's put it here after the title actually. Let's call this project cost plus convert.to string p cost. All right, let's see what we get out of this. All right, thinking shouldn't take that long, but oh, I must have messed something up here. Open connection was, but then an error occurred during the login process. Oh, that's not normal. Why would the login change? Donors choose reduced. Is that still what I've got it called in my database? After I just did that update, let's double check. Refresh. Oh, here we go. Donors choose reduced. That's still right. That's not the problem. I wonder if that was just sort of a freak thing. Let's try it again. There we go. All right, recommend. Let's see what we get out of this. I might get an error. All right, there we go. Look at that. Project title. My emphasis didn't work. Oh, strong. That's what I was thinking of. I wanted to bold that. So Gems, Gadget Girls, project cost, they wanted this much. Description: this year we have a group of 70 growing amazing ladies who have come together to form Gems Club. Girls in engineering, math, and science. Awesome. Project needs. My student needs Ozobots to learn the basics of robotics and coding. That's cool. Now, where did this come from? I must have missed that somewhere else. Yeah, let's format this a little bit different then. We're almost there. Oh, I've got this P description down here. I didn't mean to have that. So here's what I want to do next. We've got the first one. I'm going to change my stupid emphasising here to strong, spelled correctly. I think I want my table font size to be a bit smaller. That light blue is too dark as well. Let's do, I think, what comes before A, B, C, D, E? Let's do E, C, D. Let's do D, 6D, so we'll make it gray. All right. Oh, I forgot my strong right here on project title. Perfect. Let's also make the font size a bit smaller. Font size smaller. Okay. Cool. Here's what I want to do next. Let's go ahead and pull this for the other two. I know this is not the I know this is not the most efficient way to do this in the slightest, but I am in a rush. So we're going to make another one where project ID equals, and this time we're going to do rec2. Don't need to recreate any of these. I don't need to redeclare them. I can get rid of all that. There we go. Open. I don't need to open the connection. It's already open. Did I previously close my data reader? I did right there. All right, so now I've got this for second recommendation. Let's go ahead and add that again now for the third recommendation. And, oh, also right here, I don't need to create the table again. I just need to create another table cell like that. Okay, and in the last one, I need to close that table cell right here and close this table cell right here. Okay, I think that'll do it. Let's copy that. And that means I no longer need to close that cell right there because it's already being closed right here. And change this to recommendation 3. I think we got it now. Recommend. All right. So exciting. Oh, my color didn't work, or my size. What did I do wrong here? Font size, smaller, margin 5, background color. What am I missing? Table. I know what I'm missing. This should all actually go not here in the table, but in the cell. And then it should go in the other table cells. Oh, a plus, this needs to be a plus equals right here. And since I didn't make it, actually, you know what I can do is make a TD style up here in this page. That's the right way to, well, rightish way to do it. TD style, font size. There we go. That'll take care of that. No longer need it here. Okay. I think we did it better now. Let's give it a shot. All right, recommend. Let's get this all in the view. Look at that. What do I do here? Looks like I got that outside the cell. So I've got my 3. Clearly this is still not formatted pretty at all. Oh, and I've got the same one repeated. Oh, let's take a look at what I did there. Same one repeated and lab equipment showing out up there. P resource, resources requested. Oh, duh. I'm putting that in outside of the closing. So this line should look like that, so that my cell is ending after I put that in there, not before. That fixes that problem. Then my other issue was it's the same one again and again. So I'm redeclaring my parameter each time. But I'm redeclaring my CMD. It should be changing it then. And I'm adding in a different recommendation each time. Just, who knows? Let's go ahead and make this different. Let's make this one P1, P1, P2, P2, P3, P3, just in case. All right, let's give that a shot now. So I'm hoping, I know this is slow and painful, I'm hoping what you'll get from this is the idea that this is a very simple demo, but in a full-blown app, you can have these recommendations pop up at any time. I'm still getting the same ones. I need to take a look at that. Anyway, you can have these recommendations pop up even if someone doesn't click a button, and you don't have to have these drop-down lists here. You get the donor and the project. You get the donor from knowing who's logged in and having their ID. You get the project from knowing what page that they've currently clicked on and knowing which project they're currently viewing at the time, and keep tracking of that. And then somewhere on that page you can show related projects or something to that effect. Although I do want to figure out here why it's giving me the same one. Let me take a quick look at that. Okay, here's the problem. The problem is that I'm an idiot. Hopefully you caught this earlier on in my video, but when I was creating my 3 recommendation IDs right here, I never incremented where it was pulling them from. Which item out of the array, the JObject array. So in other words, I was telling it always to take this first one instead of moving it to, this is item 0, item 1, and item 2. So there we go. Right here, change this one to 1, this one to 2, and that should do it. There we go. Gem Gadget Girls, I want to say something to graphing on whiteboards. Cool. And then we'd have some sort of button down here, some link to go to the details page for each of those ones. So yeah, actually I could do that too. I could say each one of these clicks just simply submits, takes me to a different details page. I could say whatever project's currently selected on this list, show the details up here. And then here's some similar projects we look at. All right, almost an hour and a half. That's good enough for this video. The next 4, I'm going to show the different types of recommenders, and they're going to be a lot quicker. I'm just going to build off of what I started right here.